Okay, enough of that. No Bond cars here. It's not even an Esprit episode. I'm just here collecting. There's one piece of rust on the Sprinter's bodywork. Okay, the Sprinter's exterior bodywork. Okay, one piece of rust that isn't caused by a stone chip or a goon with a box cutter, and I'll tell you more about that in a bit. But there's this one piece of rust, the kind that bursts out when filler is applied too thick and moisture takes hold, and I've been dreaming of tackling this one piece of rust all the while I was scrabbling around doing the hard yards on the cab floor. You can't see it, but the van must have one of those near side gouges in it. The ones that happen when the driver can't see a low wall or an obstacle that disappears into the blind spot under the side mirror, and the bodywork gets etched along its flanks, crunching as it goes. It's been well repaired. Well, I say it's been well repaired, the finish is good. And when I looked behind the panelling inside the van, wow. So somebody did the bare minimum, and it looks like they did it with a pry bar. It's difficult to tell whether the long streak of rust here is the beginning of the gouge or the mark of the gouger. Either way, it looks like they pushed the panel outward from inside, hit the outside with filler and paint, and the inside surface with some cavity wax. All I can do is start cutting and play it by ear when I see how much filler is in there. Thankfully, Easy Parts Online sent me a repair panel for this area. I just hope there's enough of it to cover me when the time comes. Anyway, you know those days when you're just not feeling it, but you have to keep going. Those are the ones that should get even more diligence than usual, rather than less. Marking a cut line on white bodywork with a screwdriver, this is coming back to get me later. The two holes here look like they were let into the inner arch panel to gain access behind the side of the body so that it could be levered outward. It looks like the side of the inner arch was a little crumpled, but aside from the holes, it isn't too bad. And I'm getting in here just in the nick of time to stop this rust around the panel seams from taking proper hold. The filler situation isn't terrible moving forward in the side panel. I'll bet this little divot can be traced back to that long streak of rust showing on the inside of the van. That's a can of worms I'm not opening. The state of play moving up on the panel though is a different story. There's another time bomb lurking up here that needs to be defused. Can of worms. Kind of a fitting name for this bus. Do you want to see the physical manifestation of the mile-wide gap in the fucks I gave that day? I could have just eaten a banana and grabbed a marker, but no. Luckily, Mercedes make an off-the-shelf repair panel for just this problem. And these two marks represent the moment I started concentrating, measure twice and all that. We're not seeing this panel going in just yet though. See, using proper mixing tubs, you can't mix less than 100 milliliters of paint accurately, so unless I find more areas that need epoxy primer, I'll be wasting most of the paint mix just to treat this inner arch repair. So we go looking for more work. There's another of these little boo-boos, visible in the shoulder of the roof. Crunchy on the inside, soft on the outside. Armadillos. Like in many places, there are little bits of vinyl wrap left on the sills, and some small repairs needed where the sills got dings here and there. There's some pretty bad stuff happening in the channel for the sliding door too. More fallout from the water leaking inside the body. And there's a wee something happening under the sliding door runner that'll mean taking the door and the runner off the van. Okay, so there are 2 pieces of rust on this side of the van. Hands up, I'm unarmed. There are loads of little bits of rust on this side of the van. Let's distract ourselves. Am I right in guessing that these 2 little suckers correspond with apertures in the sliding door to use the air in it as a cushion to soften the blow as you bring the door to a close? I don't know. Intrepid voyeur, meet goon with box cutter. You see, this van was wrapped in vinyl twice, and I used to think that was a good thing. What with the protection from the elements wrapping something in plastic tends to bring. Thing is, hand the second wrap job to the wrong people and there's a good chance they'll go slashing around your coachwork with a Stanley knife to make life easy. Who's gonna notice anyway? I mean, especially when more vinyl is going over the open wounds. I'll tell you who, the idiot who takes on the camper project of 1,000 paper cuts and then leaves it sitting out in the salt air for a year or 2 before getting started. If you've noticed how the work so far has jumped around, it's because I'm clinging to sanity with this thing, hopping from job to job just to keep the momentum going. So, fair warning, there won't be much in the way of finished jobs this time round, but here I am back at the great big Sprinter depot in the sky, cutting out bodywork for repair panels, because I'm going to go back over a few repairs I did already and that I spent a lot of time on, and I'm going to try and make them better. Yeah, you heard me. Call me crazy, but listen to my irrationale first. Say I finish this thing and I take it for a weekend somewhere by the ocean. The sun's shining, the surf is rolling in, clean. It's one of those perfect days when the surf session is like gliding down a smooth running production line, getting to the end and taking a magic carpet ride back to the top, before gliding back all over again. Come in from a surf like that and the world is like a meditation. Everything slows down. Everything seems better. So there I sit, under the Sprinter, tasty beverage in hand, and I kick back, glancing along the lines of the van, taking it all in. If I see these flipping ripples I've created below the alpine glass, it'll be a buzzsaw finger snap back to reality, a body slam back to earth. That cannot happen. So it's time to revisit a few spots and see if I can't safeguard those future Resto retreats. You know what? I threw the rattle out of the pram over this. Like, really. Down tools and said, I'm going editing. And a few days later, now that I look at the footage, maybe it's not so bad. I mean, you saw it distort, right? Literally the last small run of welds. Here it is again. Watch the metal around the top right hand corner. There's a couple of lessons to be learned here. First, I reckon just because it looks good from your welding vantage point doesn't mean it'll be good viewed from somewhere else. These camera angles from below are not for nothing. From below is where I'll see this work, and of course from below is where it's most obvious. Following from checking it's good from all angles before welding, I realised that if it's not fitting well on all sides before you start welding, you're just going to load up unnecessary stresses in the sheet metal when you force it to fit as you weld. I knew this panel wasn't quite right, but I thought I'd just use the tack welds to hold the other parts while I pushed the ill-fitting bits into line. It likely would have been a lot worse had I not left a good gap on all sides between the van body and the repair panel so that there was room for the metal to expand. Anyway, This is just a rough grind of the welds, by the way. I'll go back over them now that I'm not in a huff. I might even release that corner with the cutting disc and see if I can get a slightly better fit. It's going to require some filler either way, of course, but far less than before, and hopefully just little enough that it won't be a liability. That's the scene, Jelly Bean. Before I go, I'd like to remind you that no one plays Air Crossmember like me. A sincere and heartfelt thanks to all my patrons and newcomers: Mark Urbaniak, R. Coy and Son, Michael Small, Nick Gibson, Brian Patton, Cameron Trussell, C. Pilsner, Matt Shimkus, Christopher P. Kritzer, Joey Parks, David Youngans, Stephen Oldak and Matthew C. Ramsey. Your support keeps the chicken cooking. Patrons have exclusive access to stickers and behind the scenes update videos of projects ongoing. For support options, for more info, for merchandise and for contact, check out my website. The link is in the description. I'm making like a tree. Till next time, stay stuck in and good luck.